You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. Glad that you have joined me. It is a rainy, and again rainy day here in Palm Beach, Florida. Listen, our conversation today is going to be about debt, and especially how it's affecting the middle class of America. I'll be right back right after this.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
So we're a couple days away from New Year to 2020. I'm looking forward to it because I'm looking forward to the new year. I was reading a little article this morning about in the Wall Street Journal about the middle class, and that they have built up huge amounts of debt. Now, you know how I feel about debt. I hate debt. I hate it of any kind. But what we're seeing is that there are individuals out there, and the most amount of debt is in the East Coast in New York and the West Coast in California, because they can't make enough to support the huge amount of expenses that are out there. But the other issue is that a lot of people go out there and they purchase these vehicles that they cannot afford. They can't afford them. When people go into debt, they don't sit back and examine, do I really need to buy something? Do I really need this? Or is there another option, another alternative that I can go? A good example is buying a car. You don't need to buy a brand new car. If you can save up for cash, which you all can do if you put your mind to it, and buy it in cash, you can get a much better deal on a used one with low mileage and everything else. If you're wanting to go to school, there are ways to go to college that will not cost you $30,000 a year to go to college. One of them is, first, if you have a community college close to you, that's a cheap way to start out. Get your first 2 years in, then go for the last 2 years in a state college, which is much less expensive than going to a well-known college. Listen, American owners of business and hiring people are not really looking anymore at what college you're coming from. It doesn't matter. As long as you have been able to support yourself, you have a good background, you have a good history, you've accomplished specific goals in your life, and that you add value. If you will add value to the company that's going to hire you. So there are ways to get around this. And then there's also ways of, if you've got college debt, start sitting down and trying to see if you can't renegotiate that debt. And on your house, listen, I'm going to say this on all debt. If you've got any debt sitting on your books, and that is your personal life or your business life, get that paid off as fast as possible. Attack one, and then attack another, and then attack another, and then attack another. And in the rest of your life, do not accumulate debt. I know everybody's talking about, well, I need a good FICO score. What you need is no debt. I would much rather have no debt and be able to pay things off in cash than I would having to worry about a FICO score and trying to get more debt. See, the problem with Americans is that we have been so brainwashed that it's okay to go in debt. But the problem is that if you are hit with a really big issue, and you all of a sudden have another, let's take healthcare. You go to the hospital. Your deductible's $10,000. You're liable for that first $10,000 of that $150,000 medical bill. A lot of people are going into bankruptcy because of healthcare issues. And this all goes back to the Obama administration, where they made all these promises, but they never kept them. And that is the biggest problem that we have today. Healthcare debt is driving a lot of individuals into bankruptcy because they just can't afford that huge debt. Because that hospital debt, then you also have your car mortgage, your car loan, and you have your house mortgage, and you've got your school debt, and you've got a whole bunch of, and you got your credit card debts. You got all these debts piled up, and now all of a sudden you have to pay for something all of a sudden that's an emergency. So you see, my point is that when the Wall Street Journal says something like that, it's true that the middle class is in debt. But the middle class has options to get out of that debt. Yes, it may mean cutting out certain things in your life. It may mean that you're not going to as many movies. It may mean that you're not going out to eat as much. I'm not kidding. When people used to be able to deduct their meal expense on their business side, do you know that some of these guys have charged up to $5,000 and up to, I've even seen up to $12,000 in eating out at a restaurant throughout the year? Now, if you were to think about that and say, okay, I could take that $5,000 and pay down debt. But instead, what they do is they go out and they get more debt. And that is the big problem. So we have Americans who need to learn how to change their thinking when it comes to their purchases. Now, a lot of you during this Christmas time have gone up into debt with your credit cards. And now you've got to say, okay, now I'm paying 18% interest on this stupid thing. And if something should happen along the way, what happened if I went into the hospital? How am I going to pay for that? Am I going to put that more onto my credit card? No, what you need to start doing is, okay, I need an emergency fund. Right now I'm going to put it $500 in. I'm going to put another $1,000 in. I'm going to do this and get your emergency fund built up so that when your tire goes flat, you can buy a new tire. If your engine goes out, you can buy an engine. Whatever the emergency may be, you don't have an emergency fund built up. And let me tell you, your credit card is not an emergency fund, because that gets you into more debt at high interest rates and fees and everything else. So we as Americans, we really need to focus in 2020. We need to begin focusing on our debt and how we're going to pay down that debt and get rid of that debt. Now, every time that I've purchased a new car, I've always paid down my car loan, my entire portion of my car in 2 years. I never let it go past that 2 years. All of my cars that I own right now are completely paid for. There's no debt on them whatsoever. I have no debt whatsoever at the moment. I have no credit card debt. I have no loans. I have nothing like that. And I have worked a lot of years trying to get it down to that zero debt. And I feel as though if something should happen to me right now, I would be taken care of. I would be okay. I don't have to worry about debt because I've been able to build up my emergency funds just in case. But we as Americans, we think it's okay to go out there and buy that bling or buy that new watch, that new Rolex, or to go out and buy that new BMW or Mercedes or whatever you're buying. But you're not thinking, do I need it and can I afford it? If you are spending more than what you take in through the course of the year, you're stupid. Absolutely stupid. Somebody should take you behind the woodshed and give you a whipping, as my dad used to say. You can no longer think of debt as okay. You've been brainwashed. You've been told by everybody. You've been told by the lenders that it is okay to go in debt. It's not okay, I'm telling you right now. It gets you into a great amount of trouble. So I'm encouraging you for 2020. Sit down today, tomorrow. You've got time. And put on a journal what all of the income that you're taking in, what all of the expenses that are going out, and then decide, what do I really need to keep? What can I cut to be able to pay down my debt? And by the way, on that list of expenses, you better put your loans so that you know how much you owe on all of your debt. So understand, your objective for 2020 is to pay down debt. No questioning. No questions about it. That is your goal. Don't be part of that American middle class that is in debt. Get that debt paid down. That's the only way that you're going to be able to plan for the future. Just think, if you paid down, let's say you had $12,000 worth of debt. You paid all that down. It doesn't mean that you go into more debt and start charging on your credit cards. No, that's stupid. What you do is take that $10,000 or $12,000 that you had in debt, and now you have those payments free. You can now put it into your retirement plan. You can begin your investing part of your life. But the first thing you need to do is pay down your debt, build up your emergency fund, and then life is going to get a lot easier because now you know what is expected of you when it comes to your finances. The Bible always talks about being a good steward of your financial affairs. God doesn't look down and look very nicely upon people who are out of control on their finances. So I reach out to every single one of you. If you need help, send me a text at 818-252-5682. I'll be more than willing to work with you. But this is the goal for 2020. Get rid of your debt. That's it for today. I'll talk with you soon. Everybody, have a great new year. Bye-bye. Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.